Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Karen throws me at manager, gets arrested, and I got free drinks. So I'm fairly new to the work world. I've only been working for about 5.5 months at the time of this writing. I work at a car wash, so the confusion comes from my uniform top, which happens to share partial coloration to red. After work, I walk home, and it takes me about 20 to 30 minutes to get there. I usually stop at the grocery store to get drinks and stuff like that. So one day, I forgot to change out of my uniform and was still wearing the shirt and apron that I'm required to wear. The uniform of the grocery store was a button-up of a few different colors, so a distinct difference. I go to the drink aisle and started thinking about what I was going to get when I felt a little tug on my sleeve. I looked to see the typical Karen, only a little shorter, coming up to my chest. I'm 5'10". I stand back thinking that I'm taking up space in the aisle, but that seemingly wasn't the problem. The problem ensued as follows. SK is short Karen, me is me, AE is actual employee, a friend of mine. Short Karen, excuse me, you're out of soda. I was wondering if you could go in the back and get some more. Me, oh, I'm sorry, I don't work here. And I continued to look at the drinks. SK, of course you do. Now go get me. Me, no I don't. I point to the car wash logo on my shirt and she completely ignores it. SK, give me your name because I'm going to complain to your manager. Manager of the car wash was on vacation in Hawaii. Me, I won't give you my name. You don't need my name. I'm fully facing her and whisper, I don't work here. SK, you do need to give me your name. Me, no I don't. Now please, I just want, give me your name now. SK is banshee screeching now when AE comes down the aisle. AE, I hear a commotion. What seems to be the problem here? I go to open my mouth when SK starts ranting on and on about how I was being rude, lazy, and should be fired because the customer was always right. AE tries to explain to SK that I, in fact, do not work there. She wasn't having it. I demand to speak with your manager about this employee. AE, please don't yell. There are other customers than yourself and him. SK, he is not a customer. He's a effing worker. Now get me the effing manager or I'll have both of your jobs. AE gets the manager and SK goes off and tells even bigger lies about AE and I. The manager tries to explain that I don't work here. SK grabs my collar with both hands and throws me towards the manager, knocking him over. He tells AE to call the police. SK then freaks out and bolts for the door but falls over because running in heels is a bad idea. She was arrested for assault and I got out of there with my drink for free. So I had an interesting day. No breaks allowed, even if you don't work here. I work as a valet at a small hotel in San Francisco. So small, we don't have our own garage. As such, we park our cars at a public garage next door. This leads to so many I don't work here ladies that I could probably fill my own subreddit. Despite this, I never found any of my stories to be particularly worth sharing. That is, until this morning. The public garage is never too busy, so they resort to renting out spaces to raise revenue. We're one such way as it's a rental car company that takes up most of the bottom floor. One section of the floor is reserved from them, though right next to it is an area employees can park. I usually park my car here, work for 5 hours, then take my half-hour lunch break in my car. Today was no different. As I was walking down to my car, I noticed a family standing in the middle of the garage. I assumed they must be lost, but since I wouldn't begin to know how to help them out, I simply walked to my car, sat down inside, and began to eat. After maybe 2 minutes of blissful lack of customer service, I was brought back to cold, hard servitude by a quick, curt rap on my window. I looked up just in time to see the matriarch of the family glaring at me. I turned on the electricity in the car, rolled down the window, and very politely, I may add, asked, "Yes?" The matriarch, with a distinct anger that can only be caused by panties bunched up in a particularly rough manner, shouted, "We've been waiting here for 15 minutes and we've got to get going. I need my car." Dumbfounded by the tone and level of her voice, I looked down at the solace of my sandwich, looked back at her and said, "I'm sorry, but I don't work here. I work at the hotel next door." and I'm on lunch. Undeterred, she began shouting again. Bullcrap! I saw you pull a car out as we walked down. Don't lie to me just so you can eat your sandwich. I need my car now. Thinking the lady could still listen to reason, I tried to explain again, only for my words to fall on deaf ears. Get my effing car! I need to effing leave! I paid good money for this, so get off your effing butt and get it! She shouted as I continuously tried to explain. Finally, she crossed the line and lunged at my sandwich. My poor defenseless sandwich. Like a mother bird protecting her young, I blocked her grab and rolled up the window. She was still slapping my window as I sat hoping the security guard would come. Turns out they were supposed to rent a car the day before, but the company had overbooked. They had to cancel some plans, so the company had given them a free rental car for the next leg of their journey to SoCal. An attendant eventually came down to see the lady in the middle of her fit and had to weather the rest of her tantrum. Once again, I'm blind, not busy. I posted on here once before about someone grabbing my arm at a grocery store as a teenager. It was a long time ago, but I've had a new experience more recently. I've only been at my new place for a few months, but I live a short distance from a grocery store. Since I can't drive, it's nice to be able to get to the grocery store and get fresh produce without even having to cross the street. That's even nicer since I'm legally blind. I used to travel with a service dog, but he retired due to old age, so now I'm back to working with a white cane. There's a lot of different white canes out there for blind people. Some of them fold up like a tent pole, others are spring-loaded and extend like a telescope, and others are just a long piece of plastic with a simple handle. When it's warmer outside, I use the long plastic one because it's very light and easy to use, even if I have something in that hand. Ultimately, the job of this cane is to keep me from running into something while I walk down the short pathway from my front door to the grocery store. Obstacles along that path could include traffic cones, storm drains, mailboxes, parked cars, and other stuff you'd encounter and accidentally walk into if you couldn't see well like me. So I was on my way home from the grocery store, a large bag of groceries in one hand and my cane in the other. As I'm walking, I'm tapping my cane on the ground in the approximate spot that my foot will be landing in the next step. There's no sidewalk, but there's a pretty wide slanted gutter thing that's nice enough to follow and get home. All of a sudden, I hear someone yell from across the street, "What are you doing?" Figuring that no sane person would question the motives of a blind guy just walking down his driveway, I kept going. I heard footsteps, and the person who shouted gets in front of me, and I almost run into them. Once again, they ask in an accusatory manner, "What in the hell are you doing?" "I'm just going home," I said. "Are you spraying something?" the crazy lady asked. "No, I'm just walking home." "Then what's that thing for?" she says. "This?" I asked, holding up my cane. "This is a cane." "Are you with the groundskeeping crew?" "No, lady, I'm not with the groundskeeping crew." "Then why are you even here?" she gestured wildly. "For the third time, lady. I'm walking home." At this point, I walk past her and go home. I make sure to lock my door in case she tried to follow me. Once again, I was left wondering how sighted people can be so blind to the world around them. Edit to say thank you for all the support and thoughtful responses. My post hit the front of my subscribed feed, and I wanted to use this moment of visibility to remind everybody that people with disabilities exist. They can look much the same as you or anyone, and they can seem to operate with absolutely no issue on their own. This sub is very much about the oblivious and the unkind and how they treat people they believe to be below them. It's very heartening to meet a crowd of strangers on the internet who recognize and fight against this phenomenon. This is the second post of mine to blow up on this sub, and I want to thank each and every one of you for your kindness and understanding. "You're 15. You can't work here. Get out before I call security." Some backstory. I look younger than I actually am. I'm 18 but look 15 or 16. My dad owns a relatively large company in the UK with 50 or 60 workers. I've worked for my dad for a couple years, but only the other executives knew I was his son. None of the interns or any of the other workers knew this. The cast is me, babyface kid, dad, CEO, chief financial officer is CFO, office worker number 1 is OF1, and office worker number 2 is OF2. So my dad's office has 4 floors, and executive floor, 2 floors of office space for all the workers, and a floor for storage and parking. I work on the 2nd floor, and my dad's on the 4th, so I rarely see him around the office, or any of the other executives for that matter. I used to just organize the storage room, but when I turned 18, I began working in the actual offices. On my first day, people started staring, but that was really it. It all kicked off on my 3rd day when OF1 came up to me and said, "So, where do you go to school?" Me. Actually, I don't go to school anymore. OF1 called over OF2 and both of them looked at me as if I just straight lied to the Queen of England. That's not true. Where do you go to school, bud?" I just told OF1 I don't go to school anymore. OF1 and OF2 looked annoyed at this response and started to get agitated. "You look 15. "I can assure you I'm 18, sir. You're too young to be working here. Stop lying to us. You're 15. Get out before I call security." I just got up and walked over to the kitchen where I found the CFO. OF1 and OF2 went off to call security. "Ma'am, OF1 and OF2 are claiming I'm only 15. Can you go get my dad?" The CFO nodded and headed to the elevator while I walked back to my desk and sat and waited for the 2 OFs to come back. Eventually, they come back with security, and I'm wondering, what's taking Dad so long? The security guard strutted over and said, "Come on, let's see your ID then." I'd left my wallet in the car. My fault, I know. So I told him I didn't have it on me, but he cut me off and started to pull me out of my chair. At this time, my dad and the CFO come around the corner, and my dad instantly yelled, "What the F is going on?" My dad gets easily upset. The security guard was startled and let go, leaving me to fall on the floor while OF1 and OF2 stood there staring at me. CEO, you startled me. Just getting rid of this kid, nothing to worry about." "I suggest you leave that kid alone, as he's my son." The security guard and everyone else on the floor went dead silent, and at that time OF1 and OF2 went back to their desks sheepishly. I was moved to the executive floor just in case this happened again, as my dad doesn't have time to deal with crap like this on a regular basis. The security guard was let off with a warning, OF1 was sacked for starting the unneeded commotion, and OF2 was let off the hook to my disappointment. Edit, I'm disappointed he was fired, not that OF2 was let off the hook. This happened about 6 months ago, and I still work there to this day, with an office shared with the CFO's son. We get along great, so it's really a chill environment to work in. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.